everyone. Today we're going to take a minute to review the pieces of a plot structure so that as you go through your independent reading, you are able to identify all the pieces of plot in your text and use the knowledge of those pieces of plot to help support your understanding of the text. So what I've made for you here is a blank anchor chart that basically shows you a plot pyramid. Plot begins with exposition, moves to inciting incident, followed by your conflict, your rising action, the climax or turning point, falling action, resolution, and denouement. To help you remember what those things are, I'm going to start by reminding you what exposition is. Bear with me because filming here is a little new to me. So in the exposition, the author is setting the scene. They introduce the characters, the setting, they provide descriptions and background knowledge. And they do all of this so that you can begin to enter the world of this piece of fiction and better understand the characters and their roles in that world. Shortly after the exposition, you were given the inciting incident. And the inciting incident is an event that happens and kicks off or begins the action. It's usually a single event and it signals the beginning of the main conflict. It's important to watch out for the inciting incident because it's going to let you know that the conflict is coming. And the conflict should come fairly quickly after the inciting incident. The conflict, guys, is simply the main problem or the struggle that the protagonist or main character has to overcome or resolve by the end of the story. It's important to be able to identify the conflict because the conflict lets you know that the exposition or this first part of the plot is complete. If you look at the overall view of the plot pyramid, you'll see that the majority of your story is spent right here in rising action. It might feel in a novel like that takes a really long time. So when we're asking you to identify which section of your text you're in, you're going to want to make sure to flag the inciting incident and the conflict so that you know everything that comes after the conflict and before the climax is rising action. Rising action, guys, is simply the events that build the story. So they happen in order. One thing leads to another, and because of that, the story becomes more exciting. These events eventually lead to the climax. Folks, this is where your protagonist is trying to solve this problem, but things keep getting in their way, and then something else gets in their way, and then they try another way and something gets in their way. And the tension of the story continues to build as they're trying to resolve that problem until you get all the way up here to the climax. I'm going to have to stick your climax right here so that you can see the definition. The climax, or sometimes it is referred to as the turning point. It's the moment of the greatest tension in a story. It's the event that the rising action builds up to, and then all of the falling action will follow. You know you've reached the climax if you were on the edge. I guess I'll leave it right here. You were on the edge of your seat. This is where it looks like everything's going to go wrong for your protagonist. There is no way this story can have a happy ending. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? That's your climax. Immediately following the climax is your falling action. Falling action are the events that happen after the climax. And they're the events that occur as a result of the climax. We know when these start to happen that the story is going to end soon. So here at the climax, we think all hope is lost. But by the time we move through the falling action, we start to know, even before the main character or the protagonist knows, that they are going to resolve their problem, their challenge, their conflict. And as we begin to know that, we know we've moved from climax through falling action and we're getting very close to resolution when we, the reader, can begin to see how things are going to end. Resolution, quite simply, is when the protagonist or the main character solves that big thing they've been trying to solve for the whole story. But the story's not over there. The last thing that we're going to talk about is very fancy. It's a French term. It looks like denouement, but it is pronounced denouement. Denouement really is that last tiny bit of the story that explains any remaining secrets or mysteries that the reader may have after the problem is solved. And why this is so important and why I made it the same color as the exposition is because it's sort of the opposite. In the exposition, the author is introducing you to the characters and laying everything out for you that's going to happen. In denouement, it is the final explanation of what happened to the characters and how the characters feel about what happened. Denouement is tied very closely to feeling, and because it is, it's also oftentimes a key to helping us understand the theme. All right, folks, that is a plot pyramid in a nutshell. I really hope this helps you understand and you have the ability to analyze your text and to identify all the sections of plot. Thanks so much. Have a great day.